Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is dead people. Yep, I'm talking about the deceased and what to do if you buy a house where someone has passed. I bring up this topic because if you don't know your area's laws, you could be in violation when selling a home. In my home state of Florida, if someone lost their life on that property, you must disclose it to the seller. My father lost his battle to cancer in my childhood home, and when my mother went to sell it years later, she had to disclose of his death in the contract. In my current state of North Carolina, there are no such laws. Some of these homes are hundreds of years old and have probably seen their share of deaths. The good news is that in most states where it's required to disclose deaths, it only needs to be disclosed on the first transaction following that death. If you buy a home where someone has died, that transaction will wipe out the necessity for you to disclose it for when you go to sell your completed rehab. I do not know the law in every state, so make sure you do your due diligence on deaths and burn some sage just in case. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us my new friend, Tim Williams. An entrepreneur since age 18, Tim values hard work, service, and helping others, whether they are his clients or his team members. Tim owned and operated several businesses beginning shortly after high school graduation. He always had a fascination with real estate, so he and a friend started a business of flipping houses. That business was the perfect segue into residential real estate, and it didn't take long before Tim earned his real estate license. By age 29, he earned his broker's license. Now, his agency, 803 Realty, has 58 agents. I am happy to have him on the show, so welcome Tim Williams.
Hey, Jen, happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Do you say 803 or 803?
803. Yeah. We're not that official. Yeah.
I mean, some people are like, it's 803, but 803,
yeah.
Yes. 803 in the house.
That's right.
Tim, so fun to have you here. And it was tough to even get started because I just love chatting with you. And I am so excited for today's show. So thank you for taking the time to be here. You are a busy man. So I want to hear a little bit of more on how you got started in real estate.
Okay. Yeah. So very first, as a small child, as I shared with you earlier, my mom always included me on some of her rental properties and how, her desire to own multiple streams or have multiple streams of income. And childhood best friend of mine and I got into with some guidance from his uncles and taking advantage of the downturn of the market when it comes to mobile homes. We started buying and flipping and owner financing some mobile homes. Quickly figured out that was too close to renting, and I'm not a good landlord. My heartstrings run long when it comes to tenants. So I got my real estate license and trying to choose a different path than the other businesses I had been in, and I always had a desire for real estate. So, and that's turned into what it is today.
Well, you are what I call a serial entrepreneur, and it seems like you are just oozing businesses over there. So tell us all the businesses you currently have and how many are in the pipeline.
All right. So right now we have, of course, 803 Realty, which evolved from Williams Real Estate Group. So I own the brokerage for about 7 years now. January will be 7 years. And just recently we've added two legs that have grown really rapidly. 803 Renovations, which is our renovations construction company, and 803 Cash Offers, which is our off-market capture business. So this is given a local option for people to sell their house fast for cash. In the very near future, we are unveiling and rolling out 803 Mortgage and 803 Insurance. So we will be a full turnkey, start to finish, soup to nuts real estate company. And not far after that, we are opening the Main Scoop, which is going to be a local mom and pop, old school style ice cream shop.
I love that. I am a fan of ice cream. So
Yes.
very, very cool. Ice cream. How did you get into ice cream?
It was strictly by happenstance. So I love ice cream, but I need the sugar-free option now. My wife and I had the world's worst anniversary dinner, our last anniversary, and it was so bad that we skipped dessert. And on our way out to the car, we had this ice cream shop idea in our head, and we stopped by this hole in the wall ice cream shop down in Beaufort. And it was literally everything that we had been talking about. Just wanted that. We wanted something for our kids to be able to get that entrepreneurial mindset and spirit and work in. And, real estate at a young age and a teenage age that's not the industry to learn that. And so we were like, hey, ice cream shop. And for about the last 18 months, we've had this idea. And when we walked in that ice cream shop and we said, hey, this is exactly what we want, we're locked and loaded, ready to go. We're just lacking the perfect space right now.
I love that story. Thanks for sharing that. That is so cute. And sugar-free ice cream. Is it good?
It is good.
All right.
It is good. So of course we're going to have all the varieties. Just sugar-free is going to be some of those varieties that we serve.
All right. Well, I didn't bring you on here to talk about ice cream, even though I do love me some ice cream. Wow. You are here to talk about why agents don't need to work for those big box companies. And there are some biggies out there. We won't name names, but I work with students a lot, and they get really caught up on where they have to hang their license. And so this one is huge. And there's so many of my listeners that they're going through this right now. So tell us the differences between these big box companies and then a smaller agency. And by the way, 58 agents you currently have?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's pretty large as well. But so what's the difference between these big box companies and more of a mom and pop type agency?
Well, I think the biggest misconception is that the small brokerages cannot do the same things that big box does. And that's simply not true. So I have actually seen the evolution of real estate. When I first started my real estate career years ago, there was two main brands in town. There was one big box and one that was independently owned, but who I worked for, that was also at the big box level. But now everything's kind of streamlined. So small brokerages have the same availability of back-end processes, CRMs and digital document systems and all of these type things that sometimes is superior to what the big box brokerage provides you.
Interesting.
And a lot of people don't know that one giant conglomerate owns the majority of the big box brokerages that most agents work for. So it's like, what is the actual difference in those different brands is my biggest question. How do they differentiate themselves? But yeah, I think that's the biggest misconception, is that a small brokerage just can't do the same powerful type things on the back end that a big box can. And that's just simply not true.
Interesting. And thank you for sharing that. I did not know that there is one over all of them. So that is interesting. Yeah. So as someone who is just getting into real estate, what would make them look at your agency being more appealing than the big box store or company, excuse me?
So the big box tend to do their training on a national level. So it's kind of an average. So the way that you would sell real estate and market real estate in San Diego, California is not going to be the same way that I market and sell real estate in Lexington.
True.
Yeah. So you've got these market stats, and you have a lot of the big box agencies selling themselves on the training. Well, the training is at the national level. They train every single agent the exact same way. The business plans are almost identical. The way that they capture business is identical. So I don't like fishing in a big old nasty murky lake. I'd much rather fish in a nice little crystal clear pond. And I want my crystal clear pond. I want to be the only dude on the lake fishing in it.
Right.
So typically when you are a member or you work with a independent brokerage like my brokerage or brokerages like mine, you get a lot of one-on-one attention and business planning and business building straight from me, or from whether it be a trainer or the broker themselves, that is really honed into how you want to do your business and how business is captured in the area, in the town that you're in. I know, like in your area, I have a good friend who owns a brokerage up there, and I know that Raleigh and Durham are totally different areas.
Absolutely.
Because I'm an outsider, I'm like, oh, okay, Raleigh, Durham, it's the same. If you're not there and you don't know, that's what you perceive Raleigh, Durham at, even though it's two totally different areas. And that it kind of sums up the biggest thing for me is, if you're trying to get started on the right track, you need a lot of one-on-one attention. It is a business building. So business planning is key. What do you want to get out of the business? Where do you want to work? Do you want to niche yourself? Do you want to be in a certain area? Like I've been doing this so long now, I only want to work in a certain area. I don't want to drive, too far away from home. So that's going to be the benefit of an independent agency over a big box, is you're really going to be laser focused on you and building your business more one-on-one than in a huge group setting doing the same thing everybody else in your office is doing.
Well, I love all of what you just said, but prior to you getting your license, you were a real estate investor. You were flipping houses. Mm-hmm. So what would you tell someone who is flipping houses? They don't want to be a typical agent, shall we say. They just maybe want to list their, save on commissions by listing their completed projects on the MLS. They want to have access to the MLS to go look at properties. If they see a for sale sign, they can book it right there on their phone. So is that something you look for? You open it up to real estate investors? Because some of my students go to these big box companies and they say, oh, we don't allow you to do any wholesaling or any of that kind of stuff. So how do you promote it for maybe the real estate investor?
So with me in particular, because I am an investor and I know, so I take bites out of multiple different pies, right? Because that's what is my driving force. So I'm not just sales and marketing. So we don't just do residential real estate. We don't do just commercial real estate. We do it all. So coming to work with me, of course, I would promote investing and flipping and stuff like that, because that is what my driving force is right now. So I've kind of moving out of the sales side of things. Even though I'm still keenly aware of the market and I'm still involved, I still buy and sell my own stuff. I still work through clients or with clients through some buyers and listing agents that work with me on the right-hand men and women. But again, you would want to go to a brokerage that fit your need and your business plan. So of course, if I had somebody coming in that wanted to be an investor or a flipper or whatever the case is that they want to do, even if it's just listing their own stuff, then if that's all you want to do, well, then damn it, we're going to list the shit out of that thing. I'm going to teach you how to market the hell out of that house, and you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. We're going to sell that bad boy faster. If you want to invest, then great. Then I'm going to teach you how to do off-market stuff. I'm going to teach you how to farm, because realistically, how you capture leads in the off-market investing side is almost mirrored image of what you would do to capture a lead for a buyer or seller. It's just shifting your language and, your approach to it. But all the different types of marketing yourself and lead capture is almost the same.
Well, you were mentioning, selling the hell out of it in this market. Are you concerned about where things are going? Are we going to be able to sell the hell out of it that quickly still? What's going on with the current market?
So in one term is loan officers are the ones that are stirring up the shit, in my opinion. Now, I love loan officers. I have some great friends. We're getting ready to open our own mortgage company. But here's my perspective. So loan officers and mortgage business has been double dipping in the market over the last 2.5 years. They have been taking full advantage, and everybody in the market has been taking full advantage of low rates. So we've been refinancing, getting those lower rates, and our purchases were extremely strong. Well, we've got rates that have gone up just a little bit. So the mortgage company doesn't keep track of what they did in refis and what they did in new purchases. It's almost like every single thing to them is a new purchase. Well, there's no reason to refi at this point. Mm-hmm. So when you cut your mortgages, your new loans in half, then of course it seems like the whole world's going to shit in the real estate market, but it's really not. So on the real estate side of things, which is where everybody needs to be paying attention to actual transactions, the amount of transactions, it is still strong. Now, I'm a little different. I have told everybody they need to brace for impact, because what we experienced over the last 2.5 years, which nobody expected, I knew was going to come to an end.
Right.
But Lord have mercy, give me a 30 damn day saturation time. Let mama, daddy, uncle come and see this house. Let my buyers make a good informed decision. Let me set the expectation with my seller. We are not going to sell your house in 24 hours. Now, a lot of that is still going on, but we're getting longer and longer list times. That to me is a normal real estate market, which is what I think the rates going up has driven us into. I am not worried. I am not scared one bit about our market. I think that the one good thing that the federal government did is corrected itself for us to ever have a market crash again.
Right.
Interest rates go up. If we had a $400,000 buyer that is now only approved for $385,000 because the rate went up a point, guess what? We still have $385,000 homes to sell.
Right.
So it's just a trickle down effect. I think a lot of hype is just because the interest rates are going up, but it's doing exactly what it was intended to do. And truth be told, that plan was supposed to happen pre-COVID with the interest rates going up. I think the market is still crazy strong. I think it's going to be strong, and it's going to maintain, even if it flatlines, and we just have steady sales numbers. That's fine by me. We had a huge leap for 2.5 years. It's still extremely good. That's just my opinion.
Well, I agree, because I think it's just normalized right now. I think, and there's a quote from Brandon Turner, and I'll butcher it, but the gist of what he was saying is that real estate investors in the last 2.5 years were going out there, and it was hard for them not to make money. There was a lot of corners that were cut. It was because things were selling so fast. It was insane. And now that the tide has revealed themselves, we're going to see who's been swimming naked, basically.
Yes,
and
that's right.
And that's a Warren Buffett quote, by the way, something of the sort. And so that's one of those things where I'm not worried about it, because I know I run my business well, and I'm going to put quality homes out there. So mine is definitely going to be better than those that have been riding by the seat of their pants. I might even say that right. Riding by the seat of their pants.
I think that's it.
I think that's okay.
Flying
by the seat of their pants.
There we go.
So I think those who know what they're doing are going to be great. So talking about time, you have a note in here, a bullet point talking about today's agents versus agents 10 years ago. So what is the difference there? I mean, besides the photos, because, they all have their arms crossed and
Lord
have the big hair.
You can spot a real estate agent a mile away. And you know what the sick fact is I have billboards around town that I have that same
stance,
stupid pose. Yes. Like I got to practice what I preach, right? So today's agents, especially those, and I tell this to the agents that work in my office, if you've been in this business for only 2.5, 3 years at most, you are in for a rude awakening. Yep. Because the way that we've been doing business and the way that business has been handled in that blip of time is not the same thing, and not the same way that we did it 10 years ago. And it is not the same way that we're going to be doing it next year. So if you think about it, fundamentally, real estate has not changed at all. technology has helped us do our business a little bit more efficiently and faster. I remember when I bought my very first, when I opened my brokerage and I invested in my very first digital document system, a digital signature system. Oh my gosh, when I got 5 documents signed in 10 minutes and I didn't waste an ounce of time or gas, I knew right then I made it big time. I was big, you know? So of course there's things that have been in place to make it a lot easier. I think these agents today have turned this more into a tech business instead of a community service. Real estate to me, no matter what facet or what direction you are in real estate, is a community service. We are helping people in our community achieve a goal and to solve a problem. The last few years has really changed the way not only agents work, but buyers and sellers perception. I've seen a little bit. It's definitely got tougher to build a relationship with somebody if you do business on the tech side of things. I really do think that COVID in general has brought everything back to a local level. And our edge is going to be providing good customer service. It's not going to be speed. It's not going to be discounting yourself. It's not going to be, a different variety or doing something different. It's going to be the customer service that you provide to the community, the person that you're working with. The past few years, I think customer service has really sacrificed in our industry. And
I think it's sacrificed everywhere.
Everywhere, yes. So what I don't like about real estate is that I cannot think of another profession that gets awarded off of the money we make from the community we're supposed to be serving. So drives me nuts. We don't have those accolades and awards in my brokerage because it's like a sour spot for me. It's like, oh, number 1 in GCI. Great. You made a lot of money. And I think that gives agents a bad name.
Right.
We're celebrated by how much money we make. Mm-hmm. So again, I think that the tables are going to turn back to normal in real estate across the board. And I think the agents that have been working the last few years are really going to struggle with having to pivot. And if they're not guided properly, they're going to just pivot right on out of the business, which might not be a bad thing for most. But yeah, I think that that's the biggest difference is the service that they provide and how they provide it.
So going back to the big box companies, what was it that made you really push towards providing something different for people? What happened there?
Well, I knew that real estate, I've always been a relationship guy. I knew that the key to success was building relationships and being community involved in every business that I'd ever been in. So it was important to me when I'm a brick and mortar guy. So I love to attract people in my front door. So when it was me attracting people to get me in their front door, I knew that I had to really step up my game when it comes to relationship building. And that is something that my experience in big box brokerage just did not, they didn't promote relationships, you heard sphere of influence. Yeah, everybody talks about sphere of influence, but you got to build the relationship to people that know, like, love, and then build a trust so that you want them to know, like, love, and trust you to be an authority in the business. I really feel like big box brokerages don't promote that. They don't teach their agents that. They teach them how to capture the business, but they don't teach them the business. So in my experience, I had 4 or 5 sides of business before I even know how to write a damn contract. I didn't know what the hell a closing cost was. I didn't know you had to send the shit to the closing attorney, or, back in those days we had to fax. Yeah, you heard it. Fax a damn flood cert over to the county. Well, of course we don't have to do all that shit anymore, but it's like that nobody said, hey, let me teach you the business before I teach you how to get the business. And then how are you going to nurture your client, because you're getting paid a premium amount. Honestly, we don't always have to work so hard for some deals for the amount of money that we're getting paid. I've said multiple times, I feel like we get doctors paid with not as many patients. So I see agents time and time again that are really lacking, and they don't know, hey, you need to be doing these things for your client. they're your client. You're working on their behalf. You need to be calling and scheduling inspections. You need to be scheduling their closing. You need to be helping them do all of these things, and provide that high level of customer service. Now, I'm not saying go and clean a damn house or cut their grass. I think we've all been in a position where we felt like we had to do that, or hop out of bed at 2 or 3 o'clock at night. But do your damn job.
Right.
Take care of your people. And it's not just, they're not numbers. They're not clients. They're humans. They're families. We're selling homes to families, not houses to numbers. And I just don't feel in my experience, and even my experience dealing with agents on the other side that are relatively new, that they're getting that mentoring or their coaching from these national companies to really teach them how to make this a customer service business. They're taking the customer out of the business. It's not just business. So I could not find a brokerage that matched my feelings about real estate,
or your needs, right?
Or my needs. Yeah. The needs what I needed to help me succeed. So I said, fuck it, I'm starting my own. And that's exactly what I did. And I didn't want to have any agents at all. I always thought that I wanted to be a school teacher. That's,
thank goodness you didn't.
I wouldn't have made it 2 seconds. So now I get to teach adults to be successful in an industry that they love as well. So we don't hire everybody with a pulse. We're extremely selective as the agents that we bring on, and we all work together. Nobody works for me. Everybody's independent business. They pay me to work here, so I have to provide a service to them. And it's to teach them what I think in my heart is the right way, and taking care of clients and putting them first is the right way, in my opinion.
Well, you have definitely convinced me. I'm sure you have convinced many of the listeners that, these big box companies, yes, they look all shiny and, dangling the shiny keys in front of you. But yeah. I love what you provide, and nobody's cookie cutter. So thank you for doing that. And I just think you are a total badass. So the second half of the podcast is what makes Tim Williams a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS. And the first letter is B for book. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Oh my gosh. It is Defeating Mega Agents. So if you've never read this book, I agree with some things that he says and I disagree with others, but he speaks our language. He really does. So it kind of teaches you how to defeat the mega agent and almost niche yourself. I don't know that I really agree with niche marketing, but if you're passionate about something, you should definitely let people know that, hey, this is the path that I'm in and I'm the authority in it. So Lake Murray is huge around here. I love Lake Murray, but it's a whole nother can of worms. So you almost have to be an authority to sell on the lake, because you need to know what the hell you're doing. You need to know what the water frontage is going per foot in certain areas and how to add the house back in and all that kind of shit. But yeah, so Defeating Mega Agents, when I read that book and he was kind of speaking my language, he was like, get out of your head. And just because they sell sales volume, and again, the only reason why we know this is because our industry promotes this shit. It was like, get past that. And you don't have to do it differently. Just do it better. You don't have to recreate the wheel. Just drive that bitch, drive the car yourself. So that's what I loved about that book. And as a matter of fact, when I first started, I gave a copy of that book to almost all of my agents, but there's some language in there that might be wildly offensive to some of my agents. That's okay. But it's a good book. It really is.
And I'm assuming you don't have any mega agents on your team.
Well, it all depends. Well, we don't promote that. So I wouldn't know unless I actually went in and looked at the numbers. And I don't give a shit about that. So they're all awesome to me.
Good.
The industry would consider some of them mega agents. But yeah.
Very cool. All right. The first A in badass is advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Don't do it different. Just do it better. That is, and it actually came from a mega agent in town, who is still, a mega agent, and I consider him my friend in the industry, and I know that I can pick the phone up and call him and his agents and support staff, and they're awesome. But yeah, he's like, everybody asked him, holy shit, how did you do this? He was like, I didn't recreate shit. He has like this whole thing about bootleg, repeat, retain, and repeat, and all this stuff. And uh, that is the best piece of advice was from that. And this was later on in my career. It was just in the last few years. It's like, don't try to recreate it, just do it better. Um, so yeah, it's worked. It has worked.
Excellent, excellent advice. All right, the D in badass is drive. What drives you to be successful?
Um, so I've been told multiple times that I probably have some severe ADHD and probably should be medicated, but I don't feel like I could.
You got a few bottles of medication behind you on that shelf, I can see.
Those are all vitamins, I promise. I promise they're all vitamins. So, but no, so I don't like downtime at all. I like to keep my mind busy. I do not vacation well. My wife and my family wishes that I could, but they are full of grace and forgiveness, which probably just allows me to continue on with this crazy life. But no, so I am a huge goal setter. So when I achieve a goal, my goal is to maintain that goal, and then I'm going to set new ones, and I'm going to challenge myself. And I have always been, uh, I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but I've always been my largest critic. So when I do things, I think that I set a standard for myself. I don't wait on anybody else to critique me. I don't wait on anybody else for validation either. So if it's going to be done, it's going to be done right. And I am definitely one that is okay with the buck stopping with me. So I will take the shit when it goes south, and I will take the praise when it goes north. And that's okay with me, but I don't like downtime. So that is my drive, is I want to continue to challenge myself and do better.
And just go out and buy an ice cream shop. Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah. We're not even going to buy one. We're going to start the shit from the ground up and spend extra money.
I love it.
What?
So speaking of goals, the second A in badass is aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
So our goal, and of course, with the addition of the 803 family of brands, is to provide the true full service to clients. From sales to mortgage and insurance. I want literally to be the one-stop shop. I have something in my head that I know is going to take me a few more years to achieve in a whole different type setting of real estate office. But this is the start of that. This is building the foundation, and I hope that the house builds itself. But yeah, so my aspiration is to actually achieve the full service, start to finish, with that good, strong relationship with the agent that you have, that face-to-face agent. We're firm believers that we know that everybody still shops on Amazon, or while everybody shops on Amazon, they still walk into Target and Walmart. Right. So we want to provide it all online, walk-in service, and at the very high level of customer service we think our community deserves.
And so genius of you to use 803, because some people would shy away from that and say, for example, Than Merrill, who is head of Fortune Builders, his first company was in Connecticut, and he called it CT Homes because he's like, we're going to take over the whole state. He was trying to, even though it's a tiny state, but right. He was thinking big back then. But then he went, years in, moved to San Diego and still had to keep the name CT Homes. And
yeah.
But for you, 803 and what your drive is to have that connection with the person. And I think that's so important because many people will choose you over the big box places for anything because you have that hometown feeling and you are so proud of your community there in South Carolina. So I love that is your name. Very, very good. And I'm going to call it 803 just to piss you off.
803, yes. And just as a caveat, I wish I had actually come up with that name, but I did not.
Ooh.
I did not. I did coin the tagline because local matters, but quick blip there. Some best friends of mine actually owned 803 Realty. They had their own real estate brokerage, and they got out of the business, or the brokerage dissolved for other reasons. And years later, I approached them and asked them if I could buy the name because I was approached by Big Box to franchise, and I almost did it, but I didn't.
Well, I think it's so smart.
Yeah, it's great. It's a fantastic name, and it's definitely my area where we love and where we focus. So I'm excited about it.
Beautiful. All right. The first S in badass is systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
So, of course, I love humans over computers. The best decision that I ever made, some people call them boards, I call it my leadership team, is I took the pressure off of me having to come up with every idea and me making the final. Ultimately, I do make the final decision, I would imagine, but it's to have some like-minded individuals that we are charting a path for this company that will challenge me because I like challenges. So if I have a dumbass idea, they'll say, you need to shut the hell up and get that on out of your head right now. So they challenge me. They don't care that they don't sugarcoat anything for me. And they have the drive and the passion for this industry and this company just as much as I do. And if it weren't for them and the people behind me, the people, not the systems, but the people, we wouldn't be here or even have any gas in the tank to be moving forward where we are today. So I give it all to my leadership team. They are fantastic. They keep me in line. They keep the business in line, and the systems that we have to have. Everybody plays their own part in their own role. I do get a lot of the credit, which I'm okay with, but they don't get enough. They're awesome. They're awesome.
Wonderful. All right. To wrap this up, the final S in badass is success. What does success mean to Tim Williams?
Is ultimately just making a positive impact on my community. That's the biggest thing for me is if you're in the industry and if you love it, it will just pour out of you. And I'm very much community driven. I love my town. You're going to be hard pressed to find anybody that loves this place more than I do. I love the traffic and everything negative that everybody bitches about. I love it. I love every bit of it. And in a town that I didn't think that I even wanted to stay in my adult years. And now it's hard for me to imagine to ever leave here.
Well, your passion is contagious. And normally on these badassery podcasts, I have guests that are selling something. You are not even selling anything, but you are just inspiring so many people out there. So if they have questions for you, maybe they want to start their own brokerage or, how do they open an ice cream shop, whatever it is, how would the listeners find you?
So easy. My 803 Realty, you can Google it. You call me. You can call our main office line. I'm here every single day. And I'm here 15 hours a day. My social media, Facebook is really easy to find me. I'm Mr. Real Estate Williams on there. I am Mr803.com. We'll take you right to all my contact information, or you can just give me a call personally, 803-528-9219.
Well, Tim, you are amazing. Thank you for sharing that and taking the pressure off some of these newer people who are just getting their real estate license. And, joining a brokerage is such a major decision. And thank you for sharing all that information. You have been fabulous to have on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
By the way, is this your first podcast?
Hell yeah.
I just popped your podcast cherry.
Oh, shit. I couldn't imagine with doing it anybody better than you do.
Well, thank you, Tim, and thank you all for listening. We will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.